Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. Today I have with me Areeba Sameer. Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, Hamna. How are you?
I'm good. She is the owner and founder as well, right?
Yes,
Of
founder
Zuora Events. And I've seen her grow and her event page grow. Not just the page, but the company itself grow. And you're doing some amazing events and
Thank you.
planning and management. And I know, of course, जब भी आप कोई चीज़ करते हो, and no matter what kind of business or company you're running, उसकी एक journey होती है. So वो discuss करना चाहती थी मैं आपसे. And obviously I also want to learn that perspective of your side of things and your business side of things as well, and also the person behind all of that and how it came about. तो हम start करेंगे from your early life and basically get to know who you are. So Areeba, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Islamabad, but I was raised all over the country because my father was in the army.
Right.
So Quetta, Bahawalpur, Peshawar, Lahore, Islamabad, back and forth, all different places.
And where did you get your higher education from?
Again, so in army we have sometimes 2 years of posting, sometimes it's a year and a half. So Behria College, Roots, APS, I was all over the
All
place
over the
with that.
place.
Yeah. But meri zyada studies Fast University se, that was my master's degree. That's where I ended my education.
अच्छा.
Yeah.
और bachelor's आपने किस चीज़ में किया?
Bachelor's and master's both in marketing.
अच्छा.
So it was marketing, some subjects were related to client management, some subjects were related to organizational behavior, mostly around advertising and marketing, and I enjoyed that a lot, Hamna. So usi se.
So but बचपन से, was it something that you wanted to do?
That's a very interesting question, but I feel like sometimes you don't know what you're good at, and your family and friends point it out for you.
That's
So from a very early age, I remember managing things for my family, managing shadis. I always used to be this girl जिसको शादी पे सब जानते हैं ना कि इसके पास आना है अगर कोई problem हो गया है. So I was setting the entry. I'd be making sure the photographer is there. सबकी pictures आ रही हैं. And where's what going to be? So I was also the person who was always arranging birthdays for my friends. Bridal showers, birthdays, balloons कहाँ से आएंगे, cake कहाँ से आएगा. So I kind of did that all my life, only to realize it some years later that this is something that I'm good at.
Yeah, and you enjoy doing as well, probably.
I do. It's not a fatigue for me. I love putting things together. I love organizing things, and I think because I come from an army background, it's in my blood to be very organized and disciplined.
Yeah, that's true. Because मेरे अब्बू भी army में थे ना.
So you would know that.
So I do know
Everything is very disciplined in an army household.
You're punctual, you're disciplined, and time is a huge factor in anything and everything you do. And बहुत एक I think बचपन से आपके अंदर एक sense of responsibility आ जाती है when you are in an army family. It trickles down from the father to the rest of the family as well. So interesting, you said that you grew up in so many cities, or how was that? How did you like or not like maybe the fact that you had to move a lot and not be settled in just one place your entire life?
I think I fought it till I was in high school. I fought it a lot because it was not easy. You understand? जब आप छोटे होते हो, to make friends. The minute I was comfortable in my class with my friends and my teachers, I would have the next posting there. So I fought it for a very long time कि क्यों हमें move करना पड़ता है, कमरा change हो रहा है, neighborhood change हो रहा है. But eventually I think when I went to high school and हम एक जगह उसके बाद थोड़ी देर के लिए रहे 4 to 5 years एक जगह पे रहे. So I kind of find it boring. I was like, there's no excitement and there's no uncertainty, and I know everybody and I know this place, and now I kind of want to move. So वो होता है ना, जिस हाल में आप होते हैं आपको वो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा होता, and you want to be on the other side because you think the grass is greener there. So that was kind of the thing.
अच्छा, I feel the same way because जब भी, क्योंकि I think आपको जब आदत हो जाए इतना ज़्यादा switch करने की, when you don't switch you're bored.
Exactly.
I felt exactly like कोई change क्यों नहीं हो रहा, कोई growth क्यों नहीं आ रही. And I also learned to love it. I think I never hated it actually, but then I learned to love it as well. The move, meeting new people.
You kind of find positives in it over time. और जब एक situation से आप गुजर जाते हो, you look back and you realize when I was in it, I didn't realize कि इतने positives और इतने ये negatives थे. But when you look back, you kind of just reflect upon it and you think, you know what, I was actually pretty good. I was in a good place back then.
हाँ. And I also feel कि even though army life का एक अपना एक bubble होता है, but it also exposes you to a lot of things because you live in big towns and you live in small towns and you get to meet and make friends with all kinds of people.
Absolutely.
So उस तरह से I think in many ways it's expanded my horizons as well. क्योंकि जितना अब्बू की जब कश्मीर posting हुई तो we were living in Kashmir and वहाँ पर for I think हम अब्बू तो खैर was there for like 2 years but हम लोग भी 3-4 महीने उनके पास चले जाते थे रहने के लिए. अब ज़ाहिर है वहाँ पे वो एजुकेशन वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है. सो द फ्रेंड्स दैट वी मेड वो बेसिकली वो बिल्कुल पहाड़ी बच्चे नहीं होते जो झोंपड़ियों में रह रहे होते हैं. दे वर माई फ्रेंड्स एंड देयर वाज नो इशू विद दैट. यू नो लाइक आई हैव बीन फ्रेंड्स विद पीपल हु जो पहाड़ी इलाकों में झोंपड़ियों में रह रहे हैं लिटरली. उनसे भी मेरी दोस्ती थी जो अनएजुकेटेड थे. एंड आई थिंक दैट मुझे आज लगता है कि दैट्स अ ह्यूज पार्ट ऑफ माई पर्सनैलिटी बिकॉज दैट मेड मी इनटू दिस person who can relate and empathize with all kinds of people.
And you can interact with all kinds of people. You have common topics with all kind of people.
Yeah.
So you're right.
And just understand them basically.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So मेरी last posting Murray में थी.
अच्छा.
That was our last posting. And I remember the first day we found out that we're going to be living in a 100 years old wooden house. I was like, Baba, I don't see this happening. Because it was at the top of a mountain in Murray. We had a house and literally जो घर के अंदर एक swing था उसके पीछे mountain का पूरा slope जाता था. So if that swing went too high, you would go back and see like the whole mountain का नीचे वाला सारा steep area. But we enjoyed that because my dad said this one thing to me. He was like, "Bete, how many people do you think get to enjoy this? Living in the clouds and, you know, living in snow and going out." वहाँ मैं convent में भी गई.
हाँ. Which convent?
Murray में convent school
दो हैं उधर.
Saint Mary?
अच्छा Saint Mary. हाँ. ठीक है.
So like
the Saint Denis भी है वहाँ पे.
अच्छा. So like, you know, went all over the country, lived in all these different places and had really nice exposure. And you're right, that is also part of my personality. And I feel like everything in life that's good or bad makes you the person you are. You take away anything and you'll not be the person you are
not
today.
The person, yeah. Every small thing makes you you ना.
Yes, all the sum of your experiences, that's you.
अच्छा, you talked about convent. वो कैसा experience था? Because convent, हाँ, convent life and education is very different from your other schools. My mom, she was in Saint Denis convent.
अच्छा, that's why.
हाँ.
Okay.
So and I know that it's a huge part of her personality. Her being in the convent. So, can you tell me about your convent experience? कैसा था? क्या होता है convent में? How is it different?
It's very different for somebody जिसने हमेशा एक morning assembly attend की है जिसमें तिलावत होती है followed by, you know, the national anthem and all of that. And over there it's very different. It's not the usual thing that's going on. They have different rituals. But I do feel like it opened my mind to accepting different scenarios and different situations. वो आपको शुरू में एक शॉक लगता है कि what is this, where am I? But then you understand कि okay, I have to be in this situation and let's make friends with these people as well. Let's understand, you know, these professors as well. Let's understand this environment and that really helps because आप accepting ज़्यादा हो जाते हो. I was there I think for a year. Then I moved to another APS. उसके बाद हमारी posting हो गई थी. But it was really fun. I enjoyed that.
And I think convent mein they do a whole kind of grooming as well.
They
of
do.
Their children.
They're very particular about how neat you are and how neat your nails are and how neat your hair is. So yeah.
हाँ, उधर का भी like convent की भी एक अलग discipline side है जो कि.
But that's good. See, it creates
really good.
Already जो हमारा एक army का एक discipline culture था, it added to that if anything. They groom you in a way. When, you know, later in life you look back, you say, ye log the, you could actually point it out that these people played a part in my life and they've groomed me and taught me things really that nobody else noticed. Right? So I think education के साथ आपकी personality की grooming होना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
So आपने मुझे कहा कि event planning wasn't something or event management wasn't something that you realized, but over time you realized कि it's your thing and stuff. तो उससे पहले क्या आपके जहन में था कि what kind of a job role did you see yourself doing? Yeah, did you always see yourself as a working woman? or no?
Actually, no. I remember having this one business lecturer in FAST, and we were going through that, and this was a business professor. And when he was discussing the responsibilities of a CEO and how they have control over, all the company, and they could just introduce a strategy, I remember being very fascinated with that. And then we also had a lot of case studies about all the companies and how they got successful, and that always fascinated me. I used to say I'm going to be a corporate girl for as long as possible, and then one day वो था कि one day I'm going to open my own company, one day there's going to be something of my own. वो something क्या होगा नहीं पता था.
Okay, but you never saw yourself, but you did always see yourself being a working woman.
Yes.
Okay.
I knew that was my goal.
Okay. Yeah. So because काफी कुछ लड़कियों का तो ये भी होता है ना कि they're just like कि नहीं, we were not very ambitious. अगर हम ना भी काम करें तो that's fine.
I was very ambitious. My father had it in me to be very ambitious, and he would always prepare me for the world. लड़कियों की different तरीके की training होती है. If I would come to my father with any problem, he will not give me the solution कि मैं कर देता हूँ. He'll be like, this is how you deal with it, and this is how you're going to do it, and once you've done with it, let me know if there are any problems. So वो एक शुरू से बड़ा independent बनाया. And funny story, I was in FAST and I had to put up a hoarding, and I had a group of 5 people, 3 of them were guys, and they were like, बहुत मुश्किल काम है, अभी हमें कील लगाना तो नहीं आता, we'll find somebody, we'll bring him. फिर वो अंदर enter नहीं होने दे रहे थे. So big problem going on there. And I came to my dad and I said, बाबा वो बहुत मसला हो रहा है. He taught me that day how to put a nail in the wall with a hammer, and I remember his tool bag. And the next day I went to the university, I had the tool bag with me, I went to the rooftop and I did it with my friends, the girlfriends that I had. And I remember the guys just being very intimidated कि ये क्या हो गया है.
इन्होंने तो खुद ही कर लिया.
They were like, नहीं आप लड़कियां हैं, आपसे नहीं होगा. And I was like, no, we're good. So he's made me into that kind of person कि ज़िंदगी में बहुत परेशानियाँ आएंगी, आगे तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं. Do not depend on anybody for anything. खुद से करना.
That's really nice. This is a common theme actually. So many women who have come on my podcast have said this कि उनके fathers ने उनको prepare किया for this world, and it is because of their fathers who had this mindset that they were able to do whatever they've done and be wherever they are. तो ये एक बहुत इससे मुझे बहुत ये रियलाइजेशन हुई कि फादर्स का कितना की रोल है इन एम्पावरिंग देयर डॉटर्स. मतलब जहाँ जिन लड़कियों के फादर्स ने उनको एम्पावर किया, होता है ना कि बिकॉज सी आई थिंक प्रोटेक्ट करते करते आप उनको कम्प्लीटली हैंडीकैप कर सकते हो.
एब्सोल्युटली.
बट आप जब उनको थोड़ा सा ट्रस्ट करो, थोड़ी इंडिपेंडेंस दो, एम्पावर करें टू एक्सपीरियंस थिंग्स, experience failure and learn from it, so then they come out doing amazing things. Let them make those mistakes and learn from them.
Okay.
So इसमें then I would like to say I think it would be like a case study, जिसमें मैं कहूँगी that I've gathered enough data from speaking to all these women.
And you also know हम ना, it's the case because एक लड़की के लिए जब वो छोटी होती है, we're all very protected in the society that we are. And you look up to your father, he's your role model and he's your only bridge to the world. He will tell you कि दुनिया अच्छी है या बुरी है. He will tell you कि आपके पास problems आएंगे तो आपने हमें बताना है या खुद solve करना है. So yes, the fathers do have a very important key role. शुरू से अगर आपको motivate किया हो और push किया हो चीज़ें करने के लिए. And I remember there was this one time when I said, अभी first या second semester था bachelor's का, and I was like, I want to do an internship because everybody's doing it, that phase in life. And he said, okay, go for it. So वो अगर कहते कि नहीं क्या ज़रूरत है करने की, घर बैठो, you don't need to earn money, you're good, we're giving you pocket money. But he made me go out there, and I struggled, and it was hard for me initially to go out in the corporate world. So वो उन्होंने मुझे वो experiences मेरे खुद जीने दिए,
करने दिए और उनसे सीखने दिया. Yeah, so I think you need that sort of push from the fathers, and I'm saying this ताकि जितने भी लोग हैं उनको ये पता चले कि अच्छा कि फादर्स का कितना की रोल है डॉटर्स को रेज़ करने में इनटू एम्पावर्ड वुमेन हु कैन लुक आउट फॉर देम सेल्फ, ताकि आपको अपनी बेटियों को इस वजह से किसी से भी शादी ना करानी पड़ जाए कि शी कांट लुक आफ्टर हर सेल्फ एंड शी नीड समबडी, शी कॉन्स्टेंटली नीड समबडी.
there's a common misconception कि अगर एक लड़की को आप इतना इंडिपेंडेंट कर देते हैं तो वो बिल्कुल ही कुछ something happens to her and she goes out from this society, she gets very outspoken, बदतमीज़ हो जाती है. I don't think that's true. I think that's a really common misconception. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि उस लड़की को अपना राइट एंड रॉन्ग पता चलता है, उसको अपने डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर आती है. शी अंडरस्टैंड्स हु शी इज़, एंड वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड हु यू आर, correct me if I'm wrong, you're able to handle all the other people. You're able to handle all the other problems. जब आपको ही नहीं पता कि आपकी strengths और weakness क्या हैं और सारी ज़िंदगी और लोग dictate कराते रहे हैं, that leaves you nowhere. You're a confused person who doesn't know how to handle anything.
Yeah. So जो आपने कहा ना कि outspoken हो जाती हैं, बदतमीज़ हो जाती हैं, वो actually outspoken और बदतमीज़ नहीं होती, वो हमारी society की definition है.
बिल्कुल.
Of a woman who knows her rights, who can protect herself, who can speak for herself, and who will not take your shit. Basically.
That's true.
So as soon as a woman is like not doing that, आप समझते हो कि अच्छा वो जो है बदतमीज़ है. वो बहुत दफ़ा हमने बात की है कि बदतमीज़ी इज़ बाउंड्रीज़ सेट करना मतलब बदतमीज़ी नहीं होता. तो जो औरतें अपनी बाउंड्री सेट करना सीख जाती हैं बिकॉज दे नो देयर सेल्व्स, दे नो व्हाट दे वांट फ्रॉम देयर लाइफ, डजंट मीन कि वो बदतमीज़ आउटस्पोकन या उनका कैरेक्टर ख़राब है. They're just smart and they have figured it out.
Smart women in the society.
Yeah. So वो narrative change करना बड़ा ज़रूरी है. So that's why we keep talking about this, because we want to change this narrative in the viewers' minds that no, that just because she can speak and stand up for herself or speak for herself, she's not badtamiz. She's just
absolutely
speaking up for herself. So that is the narrative that we're trying to create as well. So what was your first job straight out of university?
My first job was at a financial firm.
Achha.
It was a corporate financial firm in Blue Area. And again, I don't know why I've been put in these situations by Alamia, but literally I was the one and only girl in that entire company. So I was surrounded by ACCAs and accounting people and financial people. And I was the only girl there. I was the first hired girl, because before me they used to think that ladkiyan are such a nuisance, why keep them? And I think when they had that interview with me, I told them कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, try it. You know, try me and see how things change, and if you don't like it, you know, obviously आपकी पहली job होती है, you're so enthusiastic, you're like, you know, I'm going to challenge the world.
How old were you?
I was, I think, straight out of bachelor's, 23, 24.
Fresh grad, हाँ, अच्छा.
बड़ा आपका वो होता है कि, you know, I'm going to bring about change, but I think I did, because I was very persuasive with them. There was a panel of 5 men in their mid-age, which I had to convince कि, you know, give me a chance. Achha. And they did. And I remember when I left that company, they were not ready to let me go. It was only because I told them कि मैं अपना masters complete करना चाह रही हूँ, which is why they said, okay, it's fine, you can go now. But I became everyone's favorite, because वो होता है ना, there's one girl, so you have all these people being protective and really nice around you. So I did have my share of problems, but I think that experience, my first job experience, made me very, very strong. Because I was given a reality check of how the world is
real
going to
world.
be. Yeah.
Do you think कि because that company में सिर्फ लड़के ही लड़के थे and then you being the only girl, do you think that it made them uncomfortable?
It did. They used to smoke left, right, center. My first day, and I was like, excuse me, can you not smoke? Because I'm sitting here and I'm allergic. And the guy said, so you could just leave. And I remember I kept my calm, and then, you know, one day in a board meeting, I said, I have a concern, sir. I would really appreciate if I'm respected in the surrounding, and if people who want to smoke, they could just go out, right? It's not that hard. And I remember the issues. So
they were allowed to smoke inside.
Yeah, because they were all guys, so they would smoke. They would put, you know, they would sit in a very unprofessional way, lete honge seats ke upar, abusive culture. But when I came in, my director, I remember, was so happy. He's like, the abuse is gone. The smoking is gone. I see people being very proper now because एक लड़की बैठी हुई है वहाँ पे. So वो एक अच्छी बात भी है कि respect लड़की को इतनी मिलती है.
You changed the culture. Yeah. You came and you changed the culture.
And they regretted that. They're like, why did not we hire a girl sooner? And then when I came in, I hired 3 more girls after me. I made sure of that. कि अब अगर एक वेन्यू मैंने ओपन किया है, एक एवेन्यू बनाया है, तो इसमें अब और लोग आएँ.
What kind of a role was this?
This was business development role. मेरा जो था, I used to bring business for them at a very early age. I did a good job, I think. And then because internship से job जा रही थी, so I had a little bit of a experience in their finance वाले department and the HR department. So I was
फिर आपको हर तरह का experience.
So I met everybody and I had all these experiences, yes.
And then where did you go?
उसके बाद मैंने एक दो jobs और की. One was with a fashion designer because I was really confused as to I've done marketing, I'm in a financial firm, is this really what I want? And then उसके बाद I did my masters.
किसमें किया था? अच्छा, marketing में ही किया था.
Marketing में masters, yeah.
ठीक है.
And then I landed a job in a corporate world, and it was a Fortune 500 company. It was a very well-known company. I was doing really well. I was dealing with the European segment, so I was training them on the product. And I had trips all around the world. And for me to leave that and do event management, my parents were like, what's up? What's up with you? क्या
How
कर रही
was
हो?
the corporate job?
बहुत अच्छी. मुझे बहुत groom किया उस company ने. My boss was my last boss was one of the most amazing bosses that you could have, and I really think that makes a difference because Tanveer bhai, and I'm still in touch with him, he was not only my boss Hamna, he was my mentor.
Yes.
And you know, the kind of person who tells you कि ठीक है corporate world में ऐसा होता है, but this is right and this is wrong, and you know, you have to groom yourself, and he's the one who taught me कि सिर्फ काम नहीं करना, personal life भी चलानी है, professional भी चलानी है. A healthy and sound mental space is very, very important for you to give us what we want. And nobody had actually said that to me before. So I learned a lot.
Right. So that was a good experience.
That was a really nice experience. I learned so much. We had different foreigners fly in and give us classes and give us teachings on how to retain clients. Mera department client relations tha. And that is where I met my then fiance, now husband. He was in another department in sales. And he's actually the one who saw this in me and who forced me to start event planning, because I was like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. I have to leave all of this to start from scratch. और उस टाइम तक मैं बहुत comfortable हो चुकी थी उस job में. I was really enjoying the stability and all of that.
Were you enjoying the work?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to train clients on our financial products, and like I said, they were all in Europe, so they were really nice clients, and मेरे सबके साथ accounts में bonds बने हुए थे, and it was really, really nice.
So since you were enjoying that work, then how were you able to make this decision of leaving it? क्योंकि लोगों का होता है ना कि अच्छा नहीं यार, समझ नहीं आ रही थी काम की, मज़ा नहीं आ रहा था, and wanted to do something of my own. So how did that sort of
I think Sameer had a really important part to play in that, because what happened was him and I were paired on a project. He was handling the financial side, I was handling the marketing side. And the way we were working, we got so many applause and we got so much appreciation by the director of that project and different people around us. And they were like, yeah, you guys are such a good team and this is so good. So after that, I think ek do dafa maine kuch events organize kiye, and Sameer was, you know, overlooking everything, and he was like, you are a natural at this. I don't understand why you're working here, you know, because you could just do something on your own, and I see you as a businesswoman in the future. So he sort of, funny story, he had to convince me for like a couple of months कि okay, let's give this a try. तो मैंने उस job के साथ
करना शुरू
पहली
कर
दफ़ा try किया. I said okay, let's try this. So that's how it came about.
Right. And then when you started doing this, did you feel like, okay, feel more attracted to this?
Oh, I did. I loved it. The adrenaline rush Hamna of doing an event, just आपके पास plain canvas है, putting something on it, creating it from scratch, and then when the clients come, और मेरे लिए तो एक बड़ी highlight वाली moment होती है when a client comes and says, oh, you've put my vision into reality, this is my dream, and you know, it looks like a dream right now. So वो मेरे लिए, I just felt like I enjoyed that so much more, and having control over everything from the operations to the finances to the HR. Pehle Sameer was just helping me out because he was also doing this job, and he was like, I'll help you out.
He was still working udhar hi?
Yeah, he was like, I'll help you out. Start this, see the feedback that you get, and I'm right besides you. उसके बाद फिर इतना ग्रो कर गया थोड़े से टाइम में कि it got crazy, it got hard to handle, and I had to let my boss know that I think I'll be pursuing it full time. And I think sometime later Sameer also quit his job, and because it got really crazy, so he had to help me with this full time. So I'm taking care of the marketing and aesthetics and sales side. He's taking care of the financials and the operations and the procurement side.
Right. So basically he was like, I think it's better if we do this
because he saw me struggling.
Yeah.
I was struggling, I was tripping, and he's like, okay, I'm here. So I don't think if it was not for his support, I would not have been here at all.
And I think that's amazing, because you can, if your partner can see that the support that you need and provide that support. That's awesome.
That is amazing. That's the most amazing thing that happened to me.
वो कहते हैं ना कि ambitious women either need a really supportive partner or no partner at all. Because otherwise if you have a partner who is not supportive, तो आप नहीं कर सकते.
फायदा ही नहीं है ना. They pull you down.
They pull you down.
Yeah.
उससे बेहतर है कि फिर partner ना हो. Because then there's nobody at least pulling you down, right? So yeah, तो जब वो हो तो वो supportive हो. अगर आप especially if you're ambitious and you have something that you want to do, तो फिर वो sort of like he has to be supportive if he's not pulling you down, and that's amazing that you find that, because everybody doesn't find that.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I'm very aware of how rare this is and how lucky I am in this regard, because बहुत important है. और फिर वही जो आपका partner है वो कल को आपका life partner बने and comes as your husband and you're still working together. A lot of people question me on this. They're like, do you not have fights? Because your husband and your wife working together 24/7.
Yeah, people ask me this as well. हर वक्त साथ काम कर रहे हैं तो हाँ.
लेकिन क्योंकि आपने इतना साथ काम किया होता है, you've defined your boundaries, you've defined your job roles so well, and you're so good at the conflict resolution and prioritizing what is important कि it's not hard. You would understand. आप भी मुज़म्मल के साथ काम करते हो. It becomes your second nature.
Yeah, it does.
So it's not hard.
Yeah, it's not. But I would say that I think your life, like even your personal life, is very different from the average couple, because work is like, then it starts to sort of cannibalize on your personal life as well. And it's not, and the funny thing is I don't even hate it, because when you enjoy working together so much, you don't even mind that bits of it are coming into your personal life, and you have to be very mindful कि नहीं इसको आपने यहाँ पे रोकना है. No matter how much you're enjoying this work together, you have to find that balance. You're just like
takes a toll on your personal life.
Yeah, because you're just like नहीं मज़ा आ रहा है, लेकिन अभी आपने mindfully इसको रोकना है और आपने अपनी personal life चलानी है. So तो उस पे focus करना. But it's so funny, like it's like your work is also like having a baby. So and I realized this after having a baby, कि the way that we used to, because baby से पहले we started working together. So जितना भी हमने काम है हमेशा इकट्ठे किया है, बिजनेस हमेशा इकट्ठा बिल्ड किया. So the way that we used to talk about work, get excited about work and projects and things that need to be done. So when I had the baby, it was the same.
It's a similar experience.
Yeah,
it's true. I tell people, Zora's my baby. Literally, don't mess with Zora.
Yeah, so we used to talk about जिस तरह हम अब अपने बेटे के बारे में बात करते हैं, how much, what we enjoy, what we love, and उसकी क्या चीज़ें होनी है, क्या करना है, responsibility. It's just like वो भी एक baby है और ये भी एक baby है. Obviously बहुत difference है दोनों babies में, but like, and now we realize कि जब हम जब यहाँ से फारे होके और हर काम शाम से फारे होके रात को इकट्ठे बैठे हैं, तो we talk about work and we talk about our baby. And we're just like, wait, let's talk about us.
Yeah, that's true.
or just do something together that doesn't involve like, talking about either of these. Just spend quality time together.
आपको पता है हम ना हमारे events में, of course, when you get done with an event, you're really hungry, you'd go around, look for a restaurant, just sit there and eat. But you're so exhausted by the end of it that we're just eating and we're not even talking anymore.
There's nothing
like
to talk
so
about.
Done.
Yes,
we're सारी रात गुजारी उस जगह पे, सारा दिन गुजारा है. So we'd just be like, just eating. And then sometimes I would tell Sameer, Ketcha, let's go, on a nice day, on a day when it's raining or a nice day. I am a girl at the end of the day and I'll be like, oh Sameer, dekho mausam kitna acha, let's go for dinner. He's like, but we have it every day. And I'm like, no, that's different. This is different. उसपे हम इतने थके हुए हैं और इतने exhausted हैं कि I'm not even enjoying that dinner with you.
Yeah,
so
this is different. You have to make time. Yeah. So वही बात है, आप फिर उसको अलग करो consciously. आप you make the time and you spend that time and you also make sure कि अच्छा अब इस time पे हमने जो है इस चीज़ के बारे में बिल्कुल
So we have a rule now. हम रात के 9 बजे के बाद we don't talk about work. It is forbidden.
It is forbidden.
Because आप अगर काम, because if you're a workaholic, आप काम कर रहे हो रात के 10 बजे, सुबह के 3 बजे, सुबह के 8 बजे, so you really have to consciously make an effort to put a stop to it कि बस अब यहाँ से आगे मेरी personal life शुरू हो रही है. Most of the times when I'm with my in-laws, I try कि मेरा phone मेरे आसपास नहीं हो. Because of course वो भी तंग होते हैं कि यार we're having a nice chat or we're watching a movie और ये phone बीच इसका बज रहा है, so she's working and it annoys people of course. But alhamdulillah my in-laws are very understanding. If it was not for them, I would not be able to do this. You understand? For a married girl, you need a supportive support system.
The family needs to be supportive. Yeah. So my question would be in this case is कि do you think it's a good thing to have your husband as a partner in your business?
I think in my case particularly, I cannot imagine having any of what I have today, the recognition, the appreciation, without Sameer by my side. मैं नहीं कर सकती थी. Because in my business, I had to deal with a lot of labors. मेरे जो direct vendors हैं वो labors हैं, और मैंने उनके साथ बहुत struggle किया है to earn that respect in their mind enough that they would just do what I'm telling them. हमारे कल्चर में स्पेशली वर्कर वाली साइड के ऊपर औरतों से इंस्ट्रक्शंस लेना इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड समथिंग दैट इज नॉर्मल.
उनको समझ ही नहीं आती
कि ये क्या कह दिया हमें इसने.
It's not normal for them.
So वो अगर मैं किसी से कोई काम करा रही हूँ, या इलेक्ट्रिशियन थे शुरू में, आई रिमेंबर वन ऑफ माई फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस वेयर आई वाज टॉकिंग टू एन इलेक्ट्रिशियन एंड आई आस्क्ड हिम कि कितना टाइम लगेगा, कितने वोल्ट का है, बिकॉज आई वाज लर्निंग थिंग्स, एंड ही लुक्ड अप टू मी एंड ही सेड, बाजी साहब को भेजे, मैं उनको बताता हूँ.
I've had the exact same experience.
It hit me so hard.
I don't know if you heard it in one of my podcasts as well.
No, I didn't. But I was just taken aback. I was like, so I need a guy to come here and explain this to me. And I was like, नहीं, आप मुझे बताएं. He looked up at me again and he kept laughing and he अपना काम करना शुरू कर दिया. So I've had those experiences where I've been cancelled by a lot of people कि नहीं, ये तो लड़की है, इसको क्या बताएं हम, इसको क्या समझ आएगी.
हाँ, मेरे साथ तब हुआ था when I was setting up this office space. तो मैंने ये office from scratch खुद build किया था. तो उस टाइम पे thank you. तो उस टाइम पे इलेक्ट्रिशियन और सब लोगों से मैं ही डील करती थी. My husband was extremely busy at that time. तो ये ऑफिस पूरा उस वक्त he wasn't even technically going to be a part of it. So this was completely my project at the time. तो उस वक्त यही होता था एंड ही वॉज सो बिजी. तो जब ये कॉन्ट्रैक्टर आता था और मैं उससे बात करती थी तो वो कहता था मैं साहब से बात कर लूँगा. मैं जो भी बात उससे करती थी उसका जवाब वो कहता था मैं साहब से बात कर लूँगा. नो, एंड द फनी थिंग इज लाइक साहब का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं थे ना. शी सेड दिस इज माय, मैं साहब हूँ, दिस इज माय प्रोजेक्ट, दिस इज माय ऑफिस, माय प्रोजेक्ट, माय बिजनेस, सो लाइक टॉक टू मी. एंड देन आई वुड गो टू माय हस्बैंड एंड मैं उनको जाके कहती थी कि वो मुझसे नहीं बात कर रहा और वो कह रहा है कि वो आपको बताएगा. हाँ, और मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही कि. तो देन मुजम्मिल वुड गेट अनॉयड. ही वुड बी लाइक भैया आप खुद, बिकॉज ही वांटेड मी कि मैं खुद करूँ ना, खुद चार्ज नहीं. लाइक यार आप तुम कर सकती हो, तुम करो, तुम खुद से करो. स्पेशली बिकॉज ही वाज रियली बिजी एट द टाइम. तो ही वाज लाइक कि यार all my support, but ये बहुत छोटी चीज़ें हैं जो तुम्हें खुद करनी चाहिए. I'd be like, but he doesn't tell me, like I need you to come and like do this. So my husband was right in his own. He's like, you can do it and you should do it.
But how do you talk to somebody who doesn't want to talk to you?
Talk to you, right?
It's a challenge.
Yeah. So then my husband said कि आप उसको जाके बोलो कि नहीं आप मुझे ही बताएं. वो तो कह रहे हैं कि आप मुझे ही बताएं. So then the next time I went and I said कि देखें आपको मुझसे ही बात करनी पड़ेगी, आप मुझे ही बताएं. And then he was like अच्छा, he made a face or whatever, but वो हो गया फिर. So yeah.
Sameer had to do that a couple of times. I remember one time we were having a meeting with this really nice educated couple. And I say educated because it makes me also sad कि आप इतने पढ़े लिखे हैं and then you say things like these. And so he very conveniently turned his chair around to Sameer. He's like, अच्छा आप costing की बात कर लेते हैं. After I had given him all the aesthetics. And Sameer really nicely with a smile on his face, he was like, आप costing की बात भी इन्हीं से ही करेंगे. Sameer करते हैं normally costing की बात, but he felt like in that moment he should say this, and he gave me that power in that moment. And the guy turned around, he's like, अच्छा आपसे ही करनी है. I'm like, जी मेरे से ही करनी है. So it's very important. And when a guy validates, unfortunately, but when a guy validates a woman, a father, a brother, a husband, your friend, तो अजीब बात है कि उस दूसरे बंदे की रिस्पेक्ट आपके लिए चेंज हो जाती है. उसकी टोन चेंज हो जाती है, उसका तरीका चेंज हो जाता है.
Yeah, they need another guy to tell them.
Just I don't get it, but yeah,
like my husband said कि तुम मुझसे जाके बोलो कि मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप तुमसे ही बात करें. So yeah,
you had to hear that in order to have that conversation with you.
Yeah. And then a couple of times what he did was कि he came downstairs, नीचे काम हो रहा था टाइलों का और कोई इलेक्ट्रिक वर्क. तो when he asked, जो बंदा है जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर था उसने मुजम्मिल से जब सवाल पूछा तो मुजम्मिल ने कहा आप बताएं कैसे करना है. सो वो उससे भी उसको समझ आ गई कि अगर मैं पूछ रहा हूँ इनसे तो तभी ये इससे ही पूछ रहे हैं.
She has a decision making power, right?
She's the one who is deciding.
But that's nice of Muzammil to do that. And वो जो मैं आपको बता रही हूँ कि Sameer did the similar thing and they could have let the other person know कि हाँ ये करना है. But in that moment they chose to show the other person कि यही है, इसी से बात करें, don't do this, don't
मतलब वो बात
disrespect
नहीं
this
है
woman.
हाँ ये बात नहीं कि पावर उन्होंने they weren't like अपनी पावर में उससे वो हो रहे थे कि हाँ पावर हमारे पास ही है and they're like नहीं हमारे पास नहीं है इनके पास है. So and वही बात है ना कि a lot of the times कि it takes a real man to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
to in front of other people कि no this she has the power. जो inferiority complex जिन लोगों को होता है
वो नहीं कर सकते.
वो नहीं कर सकते.
You need a real man, of course.
Yeah. So चलिए ये तो आपने मुझे business aspect पे उस सवाल का जवाब दिया जैसे मैंने कहा कि do you think it's good to have your husband as a partner. उसके फ़ायदे तो हैं बहुत सारे but as a couple जो क्योंकि आपने पहले कहा कि पर्सनल लाइफ और प्रोफेशनल लाइफ की वो जो है देयर इज़ नो फाइन लाइन देन
there's no fine line, especially when you're working together. Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that in a partnership it's a good thing to work with your husband or not?
I think I struggled, I'll be very honest, I struggled initially क्योंकि जब शादी हुई फैमिली वालों को भी टाइम देना है, उनके साथ भी बैठना है. इन माई फैमिली एंड समीर कम्स फ्रॉम अ फॉरेन सर्विसेज बैकग्राउंड सो यू नो इट्स ऑल्सो वेरी डिसिप्लिन. सो 9 बजे हमारा डिनर होता है, आप हैं या नहीं है, डिनर 9 बजे है. सो दैट वॉज वेरी चैलेंजिंग फॉर मी इन द स्टार्ट बिकॉज आप पहले सिर्फ बिजनेस पार्टनर्स थे, अब आप लाइफ पार्टनर्स भी हैं. सो यू हैव टू मीट फ्रेंड्स, यू नीड योर ओन टाइम एज वेल. एंड वी हैड दीज फनी इंस्टेंसेज वेयर इफ आई एम वॉचिंग अ मूवी समीर वुड पॉज इट एंड बी लाइक वो ऑर्डर कर दिया था, वो जो चीज़ ऑर्डर करनी थी एंड आई एम लाइक समीर नो दिस इज माई पर्सनल टाइम अभी नहीं. और इफ ही इज़ डूइंग समथिंग ऑन अ लैपटॉप आई बी लाइक समीर अच्छा ये कर ही रहे हो तो प्लीज़ ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी भेज देना. एंड सो वी बोथ फिगर्ड कि नहीं ये हम नहीं कर सकते एक दूसरे के साथ बिकॉज there is no personal life. When we're together, we could discuss personal life or work or anything at all. So we now make a conscious decision कि हम ये नहीं करें. Like I said, वो हमने कुछ अब rules develop किए हैं. 9 बजे के बाद हम ये नहीं करेंगे. हम बाहर dinner पे गए, so no work talk. If you're sitting with the family, no work talk. And that has really helped. Because you do need, you do need the me time. You know, everybody does. When you're just enjoying something and it's not work.
And do you think that there were ever any business conflicts that affected your personal relationship?
I don't think so because we met in a working environment and you know that's why I say I'm really lucky in that regard क्योंकि जब हम मिले ही उस environment में
और आपकी टीम ही बनी work environment के अंदर so
ऐसा नहीं था कि personal relationship से हम वहाँ गए. A lot of people ask me this question कि who makes the final decision, who's the more of a boss over here, and I say he's the boss in his domain. I don't question his decisions. I'm the boss in my domain.
Yes.
He can suggest but he doesn't question it, or he can question it, he doesn't tell me कि नहीं मैं जो कह रहा हूँ वो करो या मैं नहीं कहती कि नहीं ये जो मैं कह रही हूँ वो करो. We both have this thing where it's either convince me or get convinced. और तीसरा रास्ता नहीं है.
Right.
बिल्कुल.
Right. So that's good. That's really nice. I like that sort of attitude towards the whole idea of being a team.
Of course.
I don't know why, but like people ask me these questions as well. I mean, I understand why actually because for some reason हमारी society में ये बहुत ज़्यादा है कि even though your partners in a marriage, it's seen as a like you're competitors.
Of course, yes.
Not partners. When
it's
in
really
fact
funny.
you are one team and you can compete. You can be a team that is competing with the rest of the world, and you're that one team.
Of course.
But you're not competitors.
You're not.
Yeah.
You either win or lose, but you do it together.
You do it together. Yeah. और वो वही चीज़ realize करना कि अगले बंदे का loss अगर किसी चीज़ में है, किसी sense में हो रहा है, professionally या किसी तरह भी, तो लाइक एज अ टीम ये भी रियलाइज़ करना कि अगर एक चीज़ आपका लॉस है बट वो टीम का विन है, so you take one for the team.
Of course.
That understanding is super important, and that's when you don't see the other your partner as your enemy जिसकी वजह से आपको ये लॉस हुआ है, but rather कि अच्छा you took one for the team because you're a team. And for in the bigger picture as a team this is your win as well, even if right now this is like your loss or your sort of compromise. So वो चीज़ बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Just like you do in a relationship.
Yeah, just like in a relationship.
You take care of something which you don't like, but it's going to help your relationship. So you say, chalo, theek hai, koi baat nahi. For the greater good.
For the greater good.
So it's the same in the workplace. And I think people would struggle, jinka personal life pehle kuch aur thi, and now they've come together as a team to do something. We started off as that. So hamare liye it's only natural.
The foundation was so strong.
Yeah, it's a second nature.
It's second nature, yeah. But I think वही वाली बात है कि it's also that balance is important. That when you are the one taking, if you are that team member who is taking it for the team, then the other person has to do the same when it's their turn. Absolutely. That is equal partnership. So you can't always be the one who's, you know, struggling or compromising or taking one for the team. When it's your turn, the other person has to do the same.
Of course. And I remember this one time जो मेरा एकदम से wedding season के अंदर I had this pain and, you know, I got an appendix operation.
I remember I met you soon after that.
Yeah, I remember. And then Sameer had to take care of everything on his own. And we both also make it a point हम ना to appreciate each other. Because जब आप job कर रहे होते हो, you have a pat on your back by the boss. In the form of bonuses, in the form of other things. We're both half and half owners. So team appreciate karti hai. Of course, I have a social media team, I have a sales team, I have all these people working for me. And they would say कि बहुत अच्छा event हो गया, and you know, they would also appreciate each other. But for us to appreciate each other, it's very important.
Yeah.
For us to make it feel to make it a point कि हम अगले बंदे को फील कराएं कि यार तुम्हारे बगैर तो नहीं हो सकता था ये चीज़, क्योंकि sometimes you think it but you don't say it.
Yes. Yes.
You know, you think in your head कि यार, you know, ये नहीं होता आज तो क्या होता. But Sameer and I have made it a point from the start. Like we said, you know, conscious decisions आप छोटे छोटे लेते हो. So we make it a point. And I remember after I had my appendix operation, Sameer was like, woman, you do a lot. How do you do this? This was crazy for me. Because he was handling his side and he was handling my
your side as well.
So he was like, your side, like I know my side, I'm an expert at that, but your side was crazy. So, you know, all the more respect for you for doing that. And similarly, one time he had to travel somewhere and I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I kept on calling him time and again कि अच्छा आप क्या करूँ अब क्या करूँ, because आप अपने फील्ड के एक्सपर्ट हो, दूसरे की गाइडेंस के बगैर आप वो नहीं कर सकते. So ये I think equally important to understand कि अगले बंदे की importance in your life क्या है, and to make them feel that they're important every now and then.
Yeah. सिर्फ like इस चीज़ की constant realization होनी चाहिए that the other person is also bringing something to the table.
Yeah. And not take them for granted.
And not take them for granted. It's and also realization is one thing. जो आपने बोला, express it. That's important.
I think we don't. Normally अगर हमें किसी का खाना भी अच्छा लगे, हम कहने में घबराते हैं. And I think it's very important. आपको किसी का कोई चीज़ अच्छी लगती है, say it. Even if it's a random stranger, you can make someone's day. Just tell them they look nice. The bag looks nice. The shoes look nice. Whatever they did or said looks nice. It just, you know,
can make a lot of difference.
Make a lot of difference.
Yeah, that's true. 100%. Because हमने ये बात की bringing to the table, I said, तो उससे मुझे एक थॉट आई दिमाग में कि चलें हमने तो ये हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ वर्किंग टुगेदर बिजनेस वाली चीज़ की बात की, बिकॉज दैट्स अ कॉमन टॉपिक फॉर अस एज वेल, सो वी कुड स्पीक ऑन इट अ बिट. लेकिन आई थिंक ये चीज़, क्योंकि हमने बिजनेस एस्पेक्ट में बात की, लेकिन ये चीज़ एक्चुअली हर हस्बैंड वाइफ की रिलेशनशिप में एग्जिस्ट करती है, वेयर a woman in अगर आप एक average or typical household में चले जाएं, a woman who is not working is also bringing a lot to the table when she is running the home and she is managing the kids and all. वहाँ पर ये चीज़ ज़्यादा होती है, where you literally just think कि जो पैसे कमा रहा है, he is the only one bringing something to the table, which is why वो एक power dynamic exist करता है consistently कि जो पैसे कमा रहा है वो ज़्यादा पावरफुल,
ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट काम कर रहा है,
ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट काम कर रहा है.
ऐसा नहीं है बिल्कुल.
द फैक्ट इज़ कि आप उस if you don't have an environment at home that is healthy,
that doesn't enable you to do that, how will you do it?
You will not, you cannot do it. So वो जो recognition है ना, जो वो बहुत ज़रूरी है, that those women are bringing a lot to the table and that needs to be recognized and appreciated in the same way and expressed, yes. Expressed as well.
I feel like as women हम ना most of the times we don't say what we feel. खाना बनाते हैं. I also make food.
Only when we PMS.
Normally we don't, you're right.
Yeah.
Unless कोई बहुत extreme situation से गुजरे, we wouldn't. But I think we should. I think a woman who takes care of the children and cooks and cleans and does all the errands, घर को manage करना बहुत मुश्किल काम है और एक बहुत important काम है. जो I don't think men would be very good at the multitasking and doing all of that, because it comes naturally to a woman. But just because it comes naturally to her does not mean you should take her for granted. But the woman should also let the man know कि मैंने आज ये कुछ किया.
But बात यही है ना कि society ने, because see जब आप growth को, power को सक्सेस को, इन 3 चीज़ों को इक्वेट करते हो मनी से.
बिल्कुल.
ठीक है कि यू आर ग्रोइंग बिकॉज यू हैव मनी. सिंपल. आपने एक बहुत फ्लैट कर दिया एक चीज़ को जिसकी एक्चुअली बहुत लेयर्स हैं. यू आर ग्रोइंग बिकॉज यू हैव अ ग्रेट हाउस होल्ड एनवायरनमेंट एज वेल. आपने यू नो रिमूव दैट फ्रॉम द इक्वेशन. फिर आप कह रहे हो कि यू कैन ओनली गेन अ सर्टन अमाउंट ऑफ पावर बिकॉज यू हैव मनी. और फिर आप कह रहे हो कि व्हाट वाज द थर्ड थिंग आई सेड? ग्रोथ, पावर एंड that was very important. The third thing I said was actually
Skip my mind as well.
no, I said growth, power, success.
Oh, बिल्कुल.
Success तो होता ही money से equated है. Your
बिल्कुल,
social
which is wrong.
Success
in so
and
many
social
ways.
status, right? तो वो भी आप जब मनी से इक्वेट करते हो, और अब आपने इन चीज़ों को पहले तो मनी के साथ इक्वेट कर दिया. उसके बाद आपने क्या किया? आपने एक ऐसा कपल बना दिया जिसमें पैसे जो हैं वो सिर्फ मर्द लेके आ रहा है. तो जाहिर है अगर आप कह रहे हो कि देन यू आर इनडायरेक्टली सेइंग दैट द ग्रोथ, द सक्सेस एंड द पावर इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ द मैन. सो फिर जाहिर है जब सोसाइटी का नैरेटिव ही कॉन्स्टेंटली ये बिल्ड हुआ है तो वो औरत भी कभी नहीं समझ पाती कि that actually she is bringing a lot to the table.
Nobody makes her realize that.
Yes, because
bringing your children is a very successful thing to do. Yeah. Running a household, in the amount that you're given is it's a success if you're doing that. Yeah. If you're keeping a healthy environment at your house for your husband and you're enabling him to go and do that work, and while he's disappeared for the 9 hours, you're on your own doing things, running errands. Yeah. I feel like that's a success. इसीलिए मैं success को ऐसे define नहीं करती हूँ. People ask me, do you think you're successful? I say, I don't know what that means. For me, success is a thing that you achieve every day. मेरे लिए हर वो इवेंट जो अच्छा शुरू हुआ और अच्छा ख़त्म हुआ, that's success for me. So I enjoy the छोटी successes as opposed to you create a milestone and you say, I will be happy 6 months later when this happens. That's not healthy.
Yeah. So I would say that the problem is कि आपने पावर डायनामिक्स इसलिए हैं क्योंकि आपने पावर को इक्वेट किया हुआ है विथ मनी. तो जब तक वो चीज़ रहेगी तब तक औरतें जब तक पैसे नहीं कमाएंगी, पावर वो रहता है, अप एंड डाउन रहता है, लाइक यू आर नीचे, द अदर पर्सन इज़ ऊपर. बट आई थिंक जब औरतों को इस बात की रियलाइजेशन होगी और स्पेशली मर्दों को इस बात की रियलाइजेशन होगी कि दे कांट डू ऑल दैट विदाउट ऑल दिस, तो फिर आपकी से भी आती है, आपका ओपिनियन भी मैटर करता है इन द हाउस होल्ड, आपकी डिसीजन मेकिंग भी आती है, बिकॉज योर टीम मेंबर, योर पार्टनर रियलाइजेज दैट ये भी स्टेक होल्डर है.
Hamna, I would like to say something very interesting that I heard at a motivational speaker's place. I was there and the speaker was a woman and she said something that has been stuck with me since forever. She said, so the guy in a normal household, like you said, when the guy earns money, वो मेहनत करता है 9 घंटे, महीने के एंड में पैसे लाके वाइफ को दे देता है a certain amount. The wife turns that money into food. The wife turns that money into comfort. She turns it into happiness. She turns it into growth. She turns it into so many things. So like, how could you say that you're successful and she's not when she's doing a job that is far more challenging and far more important than anything else? Like, it's such a nice concept that she gave that day. And I feel like I love that. Makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And she does it by herself. So in the home.
No training.
Yeah. And in the home, she's doing it by herself. And she's managing by herself. So I think because of these definitions and because of all these things, आपने एक बहुत major power dynamic create किया, which is unnecessary. It wasn't required if you just understood the value of what they're doing as well. So we got into this conversation. Coming back to event management, क्या struggles हैं इसकी? What would you like to say?
I try and portray that through my social media. And I've had this question out there from different people. Are you an influencer? Or are people like to categorize you? कि आप हैं कि नहीं है? Please हम explain करें. So I tell them that I think influencer is somebody who has a little bit of influence on somebody. And I feel like through the audience that I've gathered over the years, I do have some influence on them, if not a lot. And I like to tell people, I'm very motivating on my page. I let people know, okay, please come and do this. To any girls who need help, I'm there for you. But it is very challenging, Hamna, I'll tell you that. There are days that I go without sleep. I go without food. I go without my morning coffee, which is very dear to me. और हम कई दफ़ा दिसंबर की ठंड में सुबह के 3 बजे किसी फार्म हाउस पे बैठे हुए हैं because we have to get something done. And I'm not the kind of person who sends my team and says कि अच्छा कर लेना ये फिर मुझे सुबह बता देना, and I go as a boss in the morning. I am with them. I'm having tea with them. We're creating a bonfire together. We're doing things together, and this is how I know my team on a personal level. मुझे उनके एक मसला पता है, and Sameer also makes sure कि हमें पता हो कि किसके घर में क्या मसला चल रहा है, so we could also take care of that. These people, they're so sensitive about this. और वो इतना ज़्यादा उनका एक सेल्फ राइट किस्म की चीज़ होती है कि हम नहीं बताएंगे हमारा क्या मसला है. They will mention it to you, but they will never ask for help. And you sort of have to stoop in and be like, let me help you. So वो सब चीज़ें बहुत चैलेंजिंग हो जाती हैं. And there's this perception out there कि event management is simply buying flowers, putting them somewhere and hiring a group of people and then asking them to put them somewhere else. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I remember जब मैंने वलिया नजीब का निकाह का event किया था and it went viral.
अच्छा.
It was crazy. The growth was overnight. From having 20 messages in my inbox, it shot up to having 300, 400 messages over the night. And I had a jump of 10 to 15,000 followers. I was being approached by every single person. And it was crazy. And that happened overnight. And I remember telling Sameer, कि अब क्या करेंगे? We hired.
Are we prepared for that kind
the growth
of? Yeah.
that just came like that.
Yeah.
So event management, if I can sum it up for you, it's recruiting people, the right people, teaching them the art, teaching them the skill, giving them a nice place where they could practice those things. It's recruitment, it's financial things, it's the operations, it's the sales side, it's the new ideas, it's the marketing, it's the advertising. So it's not just putting an event together. जो आपने event you put together, उसके पीछे हमारी, we have so much time, effort and energy, Hamna, that goes into one event which people don't understand. And I wish they did. And I share my journey on social media sometimes कि अब हम निकले हैं, अब इतना hours हो गए, हम अभी भी बैठे हुए हैं, still waiting for this thing to come. Oh, this was broken. And we have to now find an alternative. It's so much uncertainty at every point, although we enjoy it, but it's challenging at times as well.
Yeah, and it's such a huge responsibility because literally किसी ने अपना बहुत बड़ा event आपके हाथ में दिया हुआ है.
I'm very aware of that.
Yeah,
at all times कि एक छोटा सा भी किसी का अगर event है या बहुत बड़ा event है, मेरे लिए it's so important because उसका निकाह है या engagement है या बारात है. Even a birthday, you don't know how much money somebody has saved in order to throw that party. So I'm very, very aware of that. And most of my clients, I'm also their friend because I'm somebody who tells them, अच्छा event की ये चीज़ें हैं, but do you need any other help? And they'll be like, yes, I'm from Canada or I'm from Germany and I don't know which parlor should I go to. So I help them with that, and the photographers that they should choose. So eventually जब आप 6 महीने किसी से उसकी शादी के बारे में ही बात कर रहे होते हो and how to turn those dreams into reality, you become very close.
Yeah, that's a connection.
Yeah.
That's nice. But I think all of this is what makes it rewarding as well.
It does. It does. Towards the end, I know मेरी team payment ले ली वो खुश हैं सारे because for them the event is done. I wait sometimes 3 hours, 4 hours for the bride to arrive. And Sameer laughs at me. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with you. But I would wait and I would tell him कि I want to see her first expressions when she sees the setup because for me that is priceless. I wait for that. That's the most rewarding thing for me. Feedback के लिए मैं आपका दिनों wait करूँगी कि मुझे feedback नहीं मिला. Even if your mom said it was excellent and your sister said it was great and your husband said it was great, you were the person I was talking to for so long. So I want to know, did I do a good job? Did I translate it into reality for you? Or did you enjoy your day? So वो जब मेरे लिए वो compliments आते हैं कि Zuora Events did a great job and you and Sameer really helped us do this and that makes my day. That's the happiest moment of the whole entire process for me. Very rewarding.
So what's next for you? Like, how do you have any bigger plans for Zuora Events or another business or anything? What are you thinking right now? Or are you just looking right now for like a stable, consistent sort of thing?
I think consistency तो हमारी ज़िंदगी में है ही नहीं. It's so much uncertainty and we've dealt with so much over the past years. अभी हमें 5 years हो गए हैं almost at Zuora Events. And I think our future plan is to just be present in some other major cities. We get a lot of requests for Lahore, for Peshawar, for some other cities. So that
scale demographically.
Bilkul. And ultimately, inshallah, internationally as well. Because I do have family, my mom's side in the New York area, and I would want to expand there at some point in time.
That's amazing.
Because I feel like wahan pe there's so much of untapped space that you could go into. Wahan pe jo weddings hoti hain, people want to do so many things, but they have so much limited resources to do that. और जो चीज़ हमारे यहाँ पे इतनी easily हो जाती है और हाथ से बन जाती है, वहाँ हाथ का काम is so expensive. So just connecting the two, I feel like that would be something that I'd look out for.
Yeah, that would be great even for our economy. Yeah, like if a business from here goes international, it helps everyone. In the long run.
But I think I also don't want to scale to a level. My one aim always is कि मेरी अपनी presence चीज़ों में रहे. My clients over time have told me we book you because we see you. There are companies that are out there and we book them and we never get to see the owner. We're only talking to the salesperson. और नॉर्मली इवेंट्स पे लोग भाग जाते हैं डेकोर करके क्योंकि बड़ा एक प्रेशर पॉइंट होता है कि इस टाइम पे अगर क्लाइंट ने कह दिया कि कुछ चेंज करो तो हम कैसे चेंज करेंगे. सो लेट्स जस्ट रन अवे, लेट्स नॉट बी देयर. सो आई मेक श्योर माई टीम नोज कि हम भाग नहीं सकते. वी हैव टू स्टे हियर till the end, till the client says, okay, thank you very much, now you can go. So वो सारी चीज़ें जो मैंने अपने corporate world में सीखी और over time discipline and all of that, I incorporate all of that into my business and I make sure it's there every step of the way.
Oh, that's really good. Like having that, I think that's what makes an experience of a client with a business more, it's different from somebody else, where they're just like, they feel more heard, they feel more connected to who's working from them, and obviously naturally that builds a trust as well.
Of course,
this is customer service.
It is.
Yes,
it's customer retention and customer service. Yes. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm booking a service, I feel like मैं फंस गई हूँ पैसे दे के कहीं पे, and I want to make sure that my clients don't feel that
like
way. They feel powerful at any point in time. I had a client recently. अब पॉलिसीज़ आपको पता है बनी होती हैं कि ये एडवांस है, ये रिटर्न नहीं हो सकता because we suffer a loss. But she had a death in the family. And I remember my sales coordinator sending her a text कि आपने भी confirm नहीं किया, this happened and that happened. I was like, no, let's be human. Let's tell her this is the policy, but for you, for your comfort, we're ready to give you your advance back.
Yeah.
क्योंकि you do that and the person will come back to you eventually if they feel nice. आप किसी को ज़बरदस्ती पकड़ के रखेंगे और वो करेंगे, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I feel like have a good relationship with the client, strong enough that they want to come back to you by choice.
Yeah. And then word of mouth is like the best form of marketing there is. If your client likes you, you will get 10 more.
Absolutely.
If they don't like you, you're not getting any more.
I tell my team this, all the interns that I work with and all my team members कि एक event जो 500 लोगों का है, आपने जिसके लिए वो इवेंट किया है वो तो क्लाइंट है ही, but those other 500 people are your future clients.
Yes, because they're all looking and
you have to make sure about the details because that's what they're looking at. So we do practice that.
Yeah. You don't have to just satisfy your client. You have to impress the other people as well. They're your future clients.
Because it's true, right? If you go to a wedding, जिसके लिए की है उसका तो payment हो गई, that person's done. But you are also, if you have an event in the future and if you've seen something nice and detail oriented and aesthetically pleasing, you'll be like, what, I saw that event, I think it was done by that person, so why don't you reach out to them?
Yeah,
which happens a lot of times.
And ये आपने बहुत अच्छी बात की जो client dealing वाली बात है basically, or customer service and client dealing, because at the end of the day, services and skills are things that many people can learn and many people can provide.
Bilkul.
But why would someone come to you? And that is always the trust part, the customer care part, the client dealing part. Okay. So a lot of the times, people have a bunch of options and the kind of, the way things are going, lots and lots of businesses popping up, lots and lots of people doing the same thing. What makes you stand out and why should people come to you instead of going to somebody else? And that's when you have to do these things and do them genuinely because people can see that.
और हम ना बहुत दफ़ा ऐसा होता है. I would have a bride who's really stressed, who's going through anxiety, and she would talk to me and she'd say, I feel so much calmer now because I tell them everything is going to be okay. There's nothing to worry about. They're so panicked about so many things. It's such an emotional affair. You're getting married, right? And they don't want to be pressurized. I've heard some brides say, मैंने आपको इसलिए book किया because you talk to me so nicely. Instead of giving me more stress कि ये भी नहीं हो सकता, वो भी नहीं हो सकता, ये तो इतना cost करेगा और वो उतना cost करेगा. You know, people try to capture the sale by doing this कि ये भी नहीं मिलेगा, वो भी नहीं मिलेगा, time जा रहा है, बस ये मिलेगा. And I try to go an extra mile and be accommodating in a way where I tell them, जो भी चाहिए मिलेगा, just relax. Everything is going to be fine eventually.
That's actually very important because ऐसे times पे the bride and the groom, they are at a vulnerable position and space, and they don't have a lot of time. They have to make those decisions. They're just going to do, like, you know, आप क्या तो इस बात का एडवांटेज उठा सकते हो, फ़ायदा उठा सकते हो इस बात का कि हाँ वो अभी तो शादी तो बहुत करीब है,
जो निकलवाना है,
शादी बहुत करीब है, अभी तो आप जो भी कहोगे उनको स्ट्रेस दोगे, वो कहेंगे अच्छा ये प्रॉब्लम हो गया, ओके, यू नो, आई विल गिव यू दिस मच मनी, जस्ट डू इट, जस्ट फिगर इट आउट. या So I think that comes from a very nice and actually sensitive space to do that, to give that, and not take advantage of that moment and that time, and just be good and be kind in that time.
I feel like if you're good, like you said, if you're good and you're kind and you're the kind of person who's providing them that mental peace, हमना, they're bound to come back to you. Because मुझे याद है जो मेरी शादी हुई थी, it's been 2 years now, alhamdulillah. It was on 14th of March 2020. COVID hit, and entire
14th of March 2020, 15th को बंद हो गया था सब.
15th को मेरा वलीमा था, 14th को मेरी बारात थी. And me and Sameer still laugh. Like when we decided to get married, the whole world shut down. But I remember जो मेरी उस time पे event planner थी, because we were doing it in a space जहाँ पे army की एक जगह थी, जहाँ पे outsiders allowed नहीं थे. The outside stylist, and my mom and dad, they made a point कि तुम खुद नहीं करोगी because you'll go crazy.
Of course.
तुम उसकी रात को, मेहंदी की रात को हॉल में बैठी होगी. So we'll hire somebody for you. They're very strict about that. So I remember this person who was dealing with me. The comfort she gave me, Hamna, I think I kind of learned it from her at that point, क्योंकि I was panicking. I didn't know होगी बारात की नहीं होगी, एक एक करके पता चल रहा था, मार्केट सारी बंद हो रही हैं. मेरा सुबह मेकअप था, I had to go to the parlor and you know all of that. And when I was leaving my house, I remember my dad was just discussing with the other family members कि अच्छा बैकअप क्या है, घर पे करना पड़ा तो क्या करेंगे. I was very panicked because you've imagined everything in a certain way. And you know, you paid for decor and you paid for the hall and the guests. Call करके लोग जब आपसे पूछते हैं कि शादी है आज, आना है कि नहीं आना, one by one. I was so panicked about the decor and everything. And she said, आपका event होगा, 100% confirmed है, and I'll be there personally to take care of things. And when I came to the hall, she was there personally. She gave me a tour of everything and she said, are you happy? And I said, yes, I am. And I remember being so calm and being so happy and being, you know, so
relaxed,
comfortable in that moment कि मैंने उसको बहुत दुआएं दी उस time. Because she could have said कि नहीं कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता, you have to pay extra, ये भी नहीं होगा, वो भी नहीं होगा, COVID आ गया है, you know, but she didn't do that. So I learned it from her, and I think you learn bits and pieces from every place that you go to.
Yeah.
And you kind of make that a part of your personality. Whatever has worked for me and I've liked in my personal life, I make it a part of my personality, ताकि मैं और लोगों के लिए भी वो करूँ जो मेरे लिए किसी ने किया.
Yeah, and that's the butterfly effect of change. जो कहते हैं ना कि आप अच्छी चीज़ करो तो अगला बंदा भी देखता है, फिर वो आगे करता है, फिर वो आगे करता है, and that's how like people become better and better and better. And that's also why change starts with you. So you know, you have to be the one to do it first.
It could look very insignificant when you do it at first कि मेरे करने से क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा.
No, it makes all the difference.
But it makes all the difference.
Yeah,
like
because even if you're changing one person, that person is changing another person, and it's like creating that big ripple effect that.
Like I told you, मेरे जो boss थे last job पे, तनवीर भाई, I remember sitting after hours one day in the office, and he said, I don't appreciate this. Why are you sitting here 30 minutes after your job is over? और मैंने उनसे कहा मैं कुछ काम कर रही हूँ. He said, no, this is not efficiency. If you're not able to complete your work within 9 hours, कल आके कर लेना. Don't.
And learn to finish it in 9 hours. Don't make it. Yeah.
लेकिन अगर वो ज़्यादा भी है, he said, don't stress on your personal life with this. Have a work-life balance. So I really religiously follow that with my employees, and I tell them कि अगर आपको छुट्टी चाहिए, तो आपने किसी को बीमार करना ज़रूरी नहीं है. Tell me you have a spa day with your girls. I'll say, okay, go. You know, tell me that you're not feeling well mentally. I'll say, go, fine, it's all right. या अगर आपका family के साथ dinner भी है, we're not the same bosses that, you know, we've encountered in life or other people. वो एक ज़माना चला गया है कि आपने
leadership is different now.
सीट पे बिठा के रखना है 9 घंटे. if you're happy and if you're in a nice mindset, you will do wonders for me. If you're sad and if you're not feeling well and you're not being able to meet your friends, you'll be in a different position and वो मेरा काम ही affect होगा eventually.
So basically वही बात है ना कि their happiness, their better mental state, their health is essential to your business also.
And I think it's a priority for me too कि वो खुश हो. I like seeing
exactly.
happy
You don't want to
employees.
have employees that are not feeling well, that are in a bad mood, that are not doing well.
बिल्कुल.
Because obviously पहली बात तो ये they're bringing that energy into that space
Of course.
to everyone.
They're
right?
the reason we are Zuora Events, all of them, each one of them.
Yeah. And if they're down and if they're not, in the right space, then obviously they're bringing that negative energy in as well. And you know that your work space is not the best place. मतलब I'm not saying कि उसमें कुछ toxic abusive है, but your workplace is not the place for someone to relax, right? So they need to be at home at that time, or be
management, obviously.
Be in a safer, comfortable, happier place, and then when they are feeling better and happier, then they can come and they can work, and that's absolutely fine.
Of course, और मेरे काम में हम ना बहुत energy चाहिए. You need to stay excited when you're talking to a client. We go as far as I've told my girls, and I've trained them over time. If you're talking to a client and the client is very happy, and she's talking to you in a really happy, jolly manner, and even if you're not feeling up to it, I want you, मैं इनको बताती हूँ, and I train them on this, I want you to go a notch higher and be as happy as she is. Because if she's telling you कि hi, how are you, and I'm excitedly waiting for this event, you're like हाँ अच्छा हम कर देंगे, that energy is not what I want from you. And if you come across a person who's really like mellow and down, I want you to match that energy as well. I don't want you to be really overly excited, because that makes a difference. That's the first thing you connect over. That's your first interaction.
The vibes.
बिल्कुल. And it's important for me.
That makes a lot of sense. I think जो आपने बात की कि वो ज़माना चला गया है, leadership in this day and age has changed a lot. There is a lot more compassion, has to be a lot more compassion. There has to be a realization that productivity is very closely linked to how you're feeling.
And your mental health.
Yeah, emotionally, physically, mentally, on all aspects. And there's no point in being a hard boss, because eventually it affects your own work.
Absolutely.
So what's the point?
नहीं, and I think over time जो आपने butterfly effect की भी बात की, I think I'm the boss that I wanted to have when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. I've had bosses who've thrown files across the room कि ये क्या गलती की है, ये क्या किया है.
Yeah, but then you
ये
also
ऐसे नहीं
had
होता.
Tanveer
But
bhai.
I also had had a nice mentor. So I feel like you get to pick. You have different experiences in life, and you get to pick who you want to be.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I could have been like him, the other one, जो मेरी पहली job में थे, or I could have been like this person, जिनके साथ मैं इतना comfortable थी, and I learned from him a lot. हम ना little things like he would not wait for me to say salam. He would come to my desk and say salam to me first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So you know that जो हमारा एक कॉन्सेप्ट है कि हम बॉस हैं तो हम फील कराएं कि हम बॉस हैं और आप कमरे में आए और आप खड़े रहें. This comes from a very different mindset. It's not the same
like
thing.
मैंने तो ये चीज़ कभी सोची नहीं. Like this is the first
Corporate
time.
it's a real thing,
because I haven't worked in a corporate. तो मुझे नहीं पता. Like मेरे लिए ये concept exist ही नहीं करता कभी. Because मैं तो from the start of ever working, I come in, the first thing I say salam to everyone. Meet everyone, say salam, say hi, ask them how they're doing today, and then I go and get to my work.
I just heard a lot of phrases from one of your employees for you, so I know.
So
yeah,
so for me, I think like it's just odd to see if you're creating power through these little gimmicks of ego, or exerting that power. That's hard power. That's not respect.
Yeah, you have to earn it.
You have to earn the respect, which is soft power,
But
where people give you that power
themselves.
They trust you with that power. They love you for that power. It's soft power, and they respect you for it as well. Hard power को तो आप ले तो सकते हो, बहुत आसानी से ले सकते हो, and you can also get what you want from it. But
for how long? You turn your back around and you don't want
it's
that.
It's not real respect. It's not. There's no point of that
but
sort
I'm
of
happy
thing.
that we are where we are, especially जैसे आप बता रहे हो, and what I've done, and Sameer also, we feel like we've created a good, safe environment for a girl or a boy to work in.
Yeah.
कोई ऐसी परेशानी की बात नहीं है जो वो हमसे कर नहीं सकते. कुछ नहीं आता, एंड I tell this to my employees as well, कुछ नहीं आता, ask me as many questions as you want. It's not embarrassing, because obviously when you grow up, बहुत सारे टाइम्स होते हैं जब आप कुछ पूछते हो, people are like, ये भी नहीं पता तुम्हें, ये भी नहीं पता. And I was growing up, I was in my early childhood, I was an introvert sort of a person, and I remember कि सवाल पूछने से पहले मैं 10 दफ़ा सोचती थी कि is this the right question, should I ask this?
बेइज्जती ना हो जाए, humiliation ना हो जाए,
वो एक embarrassment ना हो जाए कि ये भी नहीं पता. So I've made that really comfortable with everybody. नहीं पता पूछो, कोई मसला नहीं है. You cannot know everything that is out there. So it's a safe space for you.
That makes sense. But at the same time, I have to say that it's so important to also find that balance, because so leaders can change, and most of the time leaders are the one who are the role models, and they're setting the culture in a workplace and creating that environment. But people also need to understand not to take advantage of that, or क्योंकि कोई भी चीज़ एक्सट्रीम में अच्छी नहीं होती है.
बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है.
और जब भी कोई चीज़ एक्सट्रीम में होगी तो that will be abused. Any kind of environment, whether that's good or bad, if it's going into an extreme,
it'll be bad for you eventually.
Anybody can take advantage of you. You have to be able to let people know as well that sure, we'll do everything we can for you, but that doesn't mean that you can disrespect us at any point, or try to fool us at any point, or lie to us at any point. क्यों ये तो कुछ भी नहीं कहते हैं, ये तो बहुत आसान है. So I think that sort of we have learned, a lot of people have learned to be better leaders, but that does not mean that people forget.
Boundaries are very important. हम ना मेरे काम में, मेरे business में, I have a contract. And I've heard this from a client who said they were fighting over something, so they signed the contract. और ऐसे मेरे साथ बहुत experiences होते हैं, very funny experiences, where this person who was at a really good job, who was a middle-aged person, he has signed a contract, read all the terms and conditions, and then later he'd be like, so what, this is not, and these were his words, this is not Bible.
Is this a client or?
This was a client.
Okay.
And he's like, this is not Bible. I was like, I get that, but it's a contract that you signed, so uske respect to aap kare na. And he's like, but are you gonna drag me here? And then I said, no, you keep your money. I'm fine with this. I feel like जो आप चाह रहे हो और जो हम कर रहे हैं, हमारी बिल्कुल वो एक sync ही नहीं है, mental sync नहीं है, professional sync नहीं है. But people here are not used to reading the fine print at all. They would sign it, and they would not read the contract.
Yeah. I know.
लेकिन मैंने वो contract के अंदर एक चीज़, it's been laid down in crystal clear. So I do have boundaries for all of these things. I'm a very accommodating event stylist and event planner, but जो rules हैं, वो rules मुझे और मेरे business को protect करने के लिए हैं.
Yes.
I'll be as accommodating as I can be unless and until मुझे loss हो रहा है. क्योंकि मुझे loss हो रहा है तो सिर्फ मुझे नहीं हो रहा, मेरी पूरी team को हो रहा है, मेरे business को हो रहा है. And I would not.
It's not a charity.
Appreciate that. It's a business.
It's a business. Yeah. So वही मैं कह रही हूँ कि you can be nice and you can be accommodating and you can be on like that. आप तो client side पे बात कर रही हो, but even within your own business and with your employees. But drawing those boundaries is so important कि वो कभी blur ना हो for the people, because it does happen, like where you are trying to be accommodating and trying to be nice, and in doing that you've blurred the boundary for the other person, and they're like, oh अच्छा यहाँ तो ऐसे भी होता है और ऐसे भी होता है.
नहीं वो तो एक बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ है. I think boundaries in your personal life, in your married life, when you're meeting regular people, when you're meeting relatives, when you're meeting your friends, I think हर रिश्ते में, हर जगह, in every aspect of your life, you need to have boundaries. And they need to be clear to the other person as well, communicating those boundaries as well. So that's obviously there.
So वही मैं कह रही हूँ कि क्योंकि आप जब leaders change हो रहे हैं और वो ये चीज़ समझ रहे हैं, लेकिन लोगों को भी चेंज होना ज़रूरी है, और इस बात को समझना ज़रूरी है कि दिस नाइसनेस और दिस accommodating nature or this sensitive nature does not mean
you could take advantage of somebody.
And does not mean certain things.
I think most of the people that I come across, especially in business side pe, they appreciate that, Hamna, and they're thankful for that. And rarely have I seen anybody take advantage of that, because it's so rare in our industry. Normally people are like, okay, tell me when is your event, tak, itne paise hain, karna nahi karna. Nobody has the time to talk to you for hours and decide your dress and you know this looks better or that looks better, or should I wear my hair open or should I wear it in a bun. So I give my clients that time. I win their respect and trust over time, and I feel like they appreciate that. मुझे उसके ऊपर जो appreciation मिलती है और जो warmth मिलती है, and you know it's a mutual respect for two people. So they understand it's not her job, but she's going out of her way to do that.
Yeah,
they do.
And they do, and that's the thing, right? I believe that most people are good.
Yeah,
most people in this world are good. Most people understand. Most people are nice, but some people don't.
Yeah, you always have those unreasonable people. Who and you come across, every now and then you come across one of those people.
But I keep telling myself that it's important to remember that those few people who are making your life tough and difficult or sending you down a negative space or spiral, don't let those people make you hard. And don't let those people turn you into that kind of boss, or don't let those people make you into that person that you didn't want to be. Because होता है ना, that's how कहते हैं कि एक abusive cycle चलता है.
बिल्कुल, वो experiences आपको harden up कर देते हैं.
Hard बना देते हैं. आप कहते हो कि यार आइंदा से मैंने ना इस तरह नहीं करना.
मैंने नहीं करना ये,
क्योंकि फिर इस तरह होता है मेरे साथ.
End up getting hurt.
Yeah, so you have to take the lessons where you have to also understand that okay, maybe you were too nice, or maybe there was something you ended up doing, or sending the wrong message, or maybe you didn't define your boundaries. So you learn, okay, next time I'm going to be better at defining my boundaries. But don't change your core.
Don't change who you are.
Yeah, where if you are a kind
experience.
person, like don't suddenly become this hard person. So I think ज़्यादातर यही होता है कि your boss was mean, it was hard, you end up being a hard boss because you're just like, oh,
मैंने दुनिया से revenge लेना है for what happened to me.
Yeah,
Mostly
even if you're not
that.
consciously thinking that.
Yeah.
But hard experiences make you hard.
Absolutely.
But hard experiences can also make you soft. You can also learn like not to do that, or what to do or what not to do. Like you said, that you've had
It's a
hard
choice.
bosses and you've had nice bosses, and then you decide which one you want to be.
It's a choice. I think it's always a choice. People say I had no choice. You always have a choice to be who you are in your everyday decisions, to be who you want to be, to learn things and to unlearn things.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that I've been taught the concept of unlearning. क्योंकि हम क्या करते हैं, जो सीख लिया है उसका baggage हम carry करते हैं forever, कि ये तो मेरे साथ हुआ था. But you can also learn and you can also unlearn. Forget the things that don't make you happy. Let them go. कोई इतना heavy baggage carry करने की आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है. आगे बहुत परेशानियाँ आती हैं ज़िंदगी में. A lot of things change. Business wise, personal life wise, you need to be strong enough to understand कि कुछ भी हो सकता है. Your life is not always going to remain the same as it is. So you should be ready for any of those things, and you can't be ready if you're carrying a really heavy baggage of things that you should have let go long time ago.
Yeah, because if you're not letting those things go, क्या आप अपनी future की decisions जो है ना उस baggage के साथ लेते हो.
And they could be the wrong decisions.
Yes, and then you end up making wrong decisions. So so you need to make decisions in a very objective state of mind and letting all that baggage go, and then thinking clearly.
And if I translate this into the work experience that I've had, there have been so many unreasonable clients that I've come across, and with me I meet so many people in a day कि अगर मैं किसी client से मिली हूँ, I know मेरी से बनेगी कि नहीं बनेगी. How hard is this going to be? Because
you've learned.
I've learned over time. My experiences have taught me. But Hamna, I've made it a point to let my first impression of clients go down. So मैं किसी से पहली दफ़ा मिली हूँ, and I feel like this is going to be a really difficult client to deal with, और मुझे समझ आ गई है, I'll still not communicate that to my team, and I'll tell them कि नहीं, let's see, she could be a different person. Let's get to know her first. Let's get to know him first. So I think that has really helped me, because I dropped the first judgment right there and then. हर बंदा हर time is not himself.
No, and you're absolutely right, because again, because अगर आप first impression में ही आप एक decision ले लोगे about that other person, तो you will basically, because you will suddenly now expect certain things from them, you will start treating them in a certain way.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah, जो कि ज़रूरी बिल्कुल भी नहीं है.
And it'll make things harder for you.
Yourself, yeah. Because maybe if you would have done it the other way, that you organically or naturally would have, तो शायद outcome बेहतर होता.
Well, and it happens. It does happen. Sometimes we think that this client is going to be very difficult, but turns out it was just an emotional phase.
Yeah.
Family में किसी को कोई मसला था, she was in a bad place, and then she'll come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm that day, I'm in in a different mood, or aaj I'm feeling better, so let's have a chat today.
Yeah, you have to give the benefit of the doubt.
It's a different person, yeah. I feel like we're so quick in our judgments, especially हमारे followers or random people around us. They're so quick to make that judgment कि अच्छा अभी ये हुआ तो उसको ऐसे behave करना चाहिए था, या ये ऐसे क्यों नहीं हुआ, कि you know I question that, and because I don't like it when it's done to me, I make sure I don't do it to anybody else. Yeah. जो आपको खुद के लिए नहीं पसंद वो आप दूसरों के लिए नहीं करें. Simple as that.
हाँ, बहुत basic सी एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. बट वही बात है ना कि इट्स सो मच ईजियर फॉर पीपल टू से टू अदर्स एंड देन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन इट्स सेड टू देम.
हिपोक्रेसी मुझे लगता है नहीं होनी चाहिए. जो आपको अपने लिए पसंद है वो आप दूसरों के लिए भी रखें, जो आपको अपने लिए पसंद नहीं है वो आप दूसरों के लिए भी ना करें, बिकॉज इट जस्ट मेक्स लाइफ ऑल द मोर ईजियर फॉर यू एंड फॉर एवरीबडी एल्स.
So, Areeba, that was a very nice, insightful conversation. A lot to learn from you, and I knew it. I just knew that if I'm going to have you on here, there will be a lot of stuff that you will have for us, a lot of insight. Is there anything else that you have in mind that you think you want to say or talk about on the platform?
Firstly, Hamna, thank you so much for having me here. I do follow you religiously. I watch all of your podcasts, and I watch them because it's so natural, the conversation that you're having with the other person. Even today, the conversation we're having, none of it is scripted. It's just raw me and raw you, and I really enjoy that. And I feel like it's so positive. All these people with their stories. मेरा जो free time होता है, my favorite thing to do is I'll put up a woman who is successful or a man who is successful, and I just have my coffee to that. Instead of watching all these dramas and all these made up things, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है autobiography किसी की, या just these conversations. And sometimes it is your podcast that I listen to, and it's such a nice conversation that you can take, and you can take some positive things out of that, and some things that you shouldn't do, right? Apart from that, I would like to say, yes, that I've had a lot of people over time who have requested me for classes. It was not a route that I wanted to take initially, but I'd like to take the opportunity of being here to say that we will be, inshallah, working on that. We're working on that already. So in 2 to 3 months, I do want to create a nice space for people where they could come and learn. And eventually, I want to help them. क्योंकि मैंने जब शुरू किया था समीर के साथ, I remember ये भी नहीं पता था कि स्टैम्प्स कहाँ से मिलते हैं या ये चीज़ें कहाँ से मिलती हैं. सो आई हैड टू स्टे बैक आवर्स ऑन डिफरेंट इवेंट्स. शादियों के बाद बैठी रहती थी कि अब जब ये चीज़ें उठाने आएंगे इनसे पूछूंगी कि आप कहाँ से आए हैं. सो आई वॉन्ट टू गिव दैट स्टार्टर पैक एंड दैट सपोर्ट to a lot of people who have asked me time and again to have online classes and physical classes. So we will be introducing those.
Okay, that's amazing. That's really good. I don't think that ऐसा कुछ है exist करता है.
I think some event management companies in Lahore are offering courses in Islamabad.
अच्छा.
But and they're doing an amazing job. But I just feel like जो हमारी ऑडियंस है उसमें people want to learn from Areeba and Sameer because we're a familiar face. And we put ourselves out there and we meet different people. So there's so many people who say we want to start and we find this very exciting. But we're clueless. हमारे पास पैसे भी हैं, हमें start भी करना है, पर हम क्या करें, कैसे सीखें? And there's a lot to learn. There's like we talked about, there's client retention, there's the sales, there's the putting up the event, different departments. फिर आपने चीज़ों की जो take care करनी है, all of that, a lot of things. It's not just buying stuff and putting it in one place. It's
a lot more than meets the eye. I completely get
more.
that. That happens in my work as well. कि अच्छा बस कैमरा रखा और बस किया, but there is just so much more.
लगता है ना easy होगा आपके लिए to make those videos and क्या है वीडियो ही तो बनानी है या एक ही चीज़ करनी है.
No.
But how much goes behind that one short video is unexplainable, and you can't really share that with everybody. But
only when you're on this side, abhi recently I hired this girl and I was telling her the entire process कि जब हमारी कोई paid partnership या collaboration आती है तो what is the process. So I told her कि brand होता है, फिर agency होती है, manager होता है, वहाँ से आती है, फिर हम ये brief आती है, ये approvals होते हैं, ये जाता है, फिर meetings होती हैं. And then she's just like, मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि आपकी जो एक वीडियो आती है brand partnership उसके पीछे इतना कुछ होता है. I'm just like अभी तो I've just told you, now you watch.
Now you step into it and do it.
And you watch and you do it and you'll know कि अच्छा like how actually these things sort of happen.
There was a time when one of my friends were like, I think you should charge for consulting because that alone is such a huge thing. क्योंकि जब Instagram पे कोई आता है, they're forwarded to our social media team. वहाँ screening होती है, detailed information जाती है, lots of back and forth, your date, number of people, location. Once we have that, it comes to the sales coordinator. And from there, she shares ideas with you. And then it comes to a meeting with me where I meet you in person and I give you ideas. उस duration तक, people... There have been times where they have taken consultation from me. They've created mood boards from me and my team and they've disappeared and I've seen it on an event planners page.
Yeah.
And you know, it's honestly, it feels like किसी ने आपको धोखा दिया है आपके साथ ये करके, but till date I don't charge for the consultation.
Yeah, ये तो actually हमारे साथ भी होता है कि एक ब्रांड आया, कोई डिस्कशन हुई अबाउट अ प्रोजेक्ट, आपने अपना क्रिएटिव आइडिया पिच कर दिया, शेयर कर दिया, दिस इज हाउ आई वांट टू मेक अ वीडियो.
Very important. So like you're of the entire thing.
Yeah, so you're like
idea.
you know obviously आप especially एक certain level पे होते हो and you're just like you know you've come, so you charge a certain amount. So you've given that sort of quotation as well for yourself and then you have shared the idea that has to be approved by the brand and then you see a small creator creating that. So basically वो sometimes, so this brand उन्होंने जो है उस मेरी creative वीडियो जो मैंने खुद पिच की थी वो उन्होंने अपनी ब्रीफ बना के किसी और क्रिएटर को दे दी कि ये ब्रीफ है, आप ये बनाएं.
पर देखिए कितना अनएथिकल है ना.
So that was my brain, you know, that was my intellectual property actually, जिसको
इतनी इजीली आगे
and I can't blame the creator because उसको तो पता भी नहीं होगा कि एक्चुअली हमना का आइडिया था. उसको तो ब्रांड ने एक ब्रीफ ला के दे दी होगी ना कि आप ये बना के दें हमें. So obviously that creator was not charging them that, but they got the idea and they got somebody else and to create the same thing.
Exploit तो I think हमना हर field में हर बंदा exploit होता है. The chances of you being exploited when you're new into any field, I feel like there's a lot of that. And you know, somewhere along the line you have to put your step down and say, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. And I feel like हमारी field में ये ज़्यादा होता है with the collaborations. Because a lot of people would reach out for collaborations and then at times when my team would ask them or their PR person के इसमें what are the deliverables? Something as simple as this offends people. They're like, हमसे deliverables मांग रहे हैं, हमारे followers नहीं देखे आपने. And we're like, no, we get that, but it's a professional thing.
Yeah.
So just, it's always good to have clarity like I said,
on that.
कि अच्छा अगर होगा क्या deliverables होंगे, because we're happy to do it for you, but it's nice if you could just lay it down on a paper, what would you be giving in advance. But वो नहीं है, वो होता है कि you know, I have so many followers and you know you're asking me this question and people have been offended by that, लेकिन फिर I try and take my time to explain कि मैंने ये क्यों कहा, because I just want to know कि जो हम इसमें एक time, effort, energy, पैसे लगा रहे हैं,
So what are you doing
उसका
in return?
outcome क्या
Yeah,
होगा? Because I have a team who sits down and sees कि कितना फ़ायदा हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ, किसके साथ दोबारा करना चाहिए. We're all doing businesses here, so we want to be sure we make the right choices.
Right.
So वो I think हर किसी के साथ होता है, and you learn with time. Nobody can teach you the right and wrong in that.
Yeah, that's true. Right. So I think that brings this conversation to an end. Thank you so much for taking out the time and doing this. I know you are a very busy person and you have a lot going on for yourself.
That's going on,
Yeah.
but like, you know, when you called me, I really wanted to be here.
I remember
wanted to
that
enjoy.
I think I was pregnant at the time when you did the small event for me ऊपर terrace के ऊपर.
I remember, yes.
And that's when you told me that you watch my podcasts.
Yeah.
That was a long
We
time
had like
ago.
I think 10 minutes of a conversation
Yeah.
I was handing over.
Yeah, I was super pregnant. I think I was like, I was 9 months pregnant almost.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So, I think that was.
I think we
April.
connected instantly. We're just having a chat for 10 minutes and then I had to leave. But that was a nice chat.
Yeah, that was a nice chat. And
But Hamna, I do want to say I really appreciate that your content is so positive and people can take something positive home from that, and there's so much learning from it. It's very different from an average influencer or anybody who does their job. I understand fashion influencers are there and they really help us out, लेकिन इतनी सब नेगेटिविटी के अंदर कुछ अगर कोई पॉजिटिव कर रहा हो और एक कुछ यूनिक कर रहा हो, आई अप्रिशिएट दैट अ लॉट.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I admire that actually.
I'm trying. I don't know.
You're going in the right direction. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Happy Chirp. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please don't forget to leave comments and your thoughts about all the various discussions that we had. मैं बहुत appreciate करती हूँ आप लोगों का feedback. I know मुझे आता रहता है sometimes you guys don't like the way I do these podcasts. I read the feedback and I just want to say that I'm trying. I'm reading them. I take the criticism and I'm trying my best to do these podcasts in a way that you like as well. But then there's something so inherent to my personality, and I don't want to be sort of, inauthentic as well. And then there are certain things that I don't want to change about the way that I run the platform. There's certain formats. I want to keep it that way, and I have my reasons for that as well. But I do appreciate the feedback, and what I'm trying to say is that I do read it, and I am trying to learn it, and I'm trying to learn all the things that you point out. And I also love the appreciation that you guys sent in for my guests and the things they say, and so much you learn from them. Point ही है यहाँ पे कि मेरा एक platform है, and I have that space that I can provide people who I know can give so much insight, but they don't have those spaces of their own. So the idea is कि मेरे पास space है, तो मैं लोगों को जो आपको बहुत कुछ बता सकते हैं उनको वो जगह दूँ, and not keep all the space for myself. So do leave comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.